Beat. The story of the Philippine fighter jet begins not with jets, but with the roar of piston engines. After World War II, the Philippines was a new republic. It needed to build its own defenses from the ground up. The Philippine Army Air Corps, which later became the Philippine Air Force, was born. The United States, a key ally, provided the initial tools for this monumental job. These early aircraft were not jets, but they were the foundation upon which a modern air force would be built. They were symbols of sovereignty and the first guardians of our airspace. The first true fighter aircraft to serve under the Philippine flag was the North American P-51D Mustang. This legendary plane inspired national pride and represented the country's commitment to self-defense. The pilots were pioneers, learning the art of aerial combat and patrol, establishing doctrines still followed today. From flight schools to ground crews and air bases to command structures, Mustangs were central to building the institution. The mid-1950s brought a revolutionary change to the Philippine Air Force. The era of roaring pistons and propellers gave way to the high-pitched whistle of jet engines. The PAF entered the jet age with the North American F-86F Sabre. This was a significant leap in technology and capability. A first-generation jet fighter, the Sabre was famous for its combat record in the Korean War. Receiving these aircraft placed the PAF on par with other modernizing air forces in the region. The transition demanded massive retraining for pilots and ground crews, faster, higher, and with swept wings, the hallmark of a new generation. The 5th Fighter Wing mastered new handling characteristics and higher speeds of jet flight. The Sabre gave the Philippines a credible air defense during the Cold War, securing its airspace against emerging threats. The PAF upgraded to the F-86D Sabre Dog, an all-weather interceptor with powerful nose radar, enabling 24-hour defense. With sophisticated electronics and fire control, Sabres became the backbone of fighter command, thrilling crowds yet serving above all as guardians over strategic seas. Beat. The Cold War heated up in the 1960s, and military technology advanced at a breathtaking pace. To keep up, the PF needed an aircraft that could fly faster than sound. The answer was the Northrop F-5 Freedom Fighter, A and B. Its arrival in 1965 was a moment of immense pride. A sleek, twin-engine jet, relatively simple to maintain, yet packing a powerful punch up to Mach 1.6. Designed by the United States for allies, the F-5A single-seat fighter and F-5B two-seat trainer formed the core of the 6th Tactical Fighter Squadron, the Cobras. Based at Basa Air Base, the transition from subsonic F-86 to supersonic F-5 was a major challenge. Pilots learned to handle blistering acceleration. Ground crews mastered J-85 engines and advanced avionics. More than an interceptor, the F-5 was truly multi-role. 20mm cannons, Sidewinder missiles, bombs, and rockets. Versatile and visible, it defended sovereignty, contributed to regional stability, and showcased Filipino skill via the Blue Diamonds. Serving nearly 4 decades, the Freedom Fighter became the most iconic jet in Philippine history. The F-5s reflected a strong defense partnership with the United States through Cold War assistance programs. A supersonic leap that defined a generation of Philippine air power. The 1970s and early 1980s can be considered the golden age of the Philippine Air Force. Among Southeast Asia's best equipped, the F-5A and F-5B were the stars, but they were not alone. Strengthened by the F-8 Crusader, powerful, carrier-capable, challenging to maintain, yet a potent air superiority fighter with cannons at its core. Nimble F-5s and powerful F-8s gave commanders flexible defense options. At Basa and U.S.-run Clark, Filipino pilots trained alongside Americans in large-scale exercises like Cope Thunder. Complex scenarios honed skills and kept the force ready and respected in the region. But by the late 1980s, economic strain and shifting priorities cut budgets. Spares grew scarce, and readiness suffered. The F-8s were grounded and retired. The 1991 U.S. withdrawal from Clark removed a key support partner. Cannibalization kept a few F-5s flying as pilot hours fell, and accidents took a toll. The sun was setting on the supersonic era for the Philippines. Beat. The final flight of the F-5 Freedom Fighter in 2005 marked the start of a dark period. For the first time in half a century, no active supersonic fighters guarded the skies, leaving a critical gap. Morale and readiness suffered. A decade without fangs. Sii Marchetti S-211 trainers took on primary roles. Brave but subsonic, with limited radar and missile capability. Foreign incursions increased. Without interceptors, responses were slow and often limited to protests. Still, the PAF trained at home and abroad, and revived the 1995 Modernization Act. Studies for a lead-in fighter trainer and a true multi-role fighter began in earnest. Painful lessons forged the will to modernize the Air Force. After a decade of silence, the roar of supersonic jets returned to the Philippines. The turning point was the KAI FA-50PH Fighting Eagle from South Korea. 2 jets arrived in November 2015, a landmark event symbolizing rebirth of air defense. A light combat aircraft and lead-in fighter trainer, modern, supersonic, derived from the T-50 Golden Eagle. The perfect first step back to high-performance jets, closing a decade-long gap. Selected under the AFP Modernization program for capability and affordability, equipped with pulse Doppler radar, a glass cockpit, and diverse air-to-air and air-to-ground munitions. 12 aircraft delivered by 2017, the 7th Tactical Fighter Squadron, the Bulldogs, re-established at Basa. In the Battle of Marawi, FA-50s flew precision strikes, supporting ground forces and validating the investment. Now primary defenders, they conduct maritime air patrols and provide credible deterrence. Their success paved the way for the quest for a true multi-role fighter. Modernization is intertwined with international partnerships, especially the United States and key allies. The return of large-scale exercises like Balikatan has been crucial. PAF pilots train with and against advanced jets such as F-16, F-22 Raptor, and F-35 Lightning II. Beyond flying, exercises test command and control, intelligence sharing, and logistics. Interoperability ensures seamless coalition operations if ever required. Ties also deepen with Japan, Australia, and South Korea through bilateral drills and exchanges. Training includes airspace monitoring and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. Procurement reflects partnerships, FA-50s from Korea, C-295s from Spain, Blackhawks from Poland under U.S. license. Partnerships deliver equipment, training, and support fundamental to a credible 21st century Air Force. The FA-50PH is a success, but only the first step toward a multi-role fighter, an MRF. An MRF can perform air superiority, ground attack, and reconnaissance. It brings more powerful radar, longer range, and a larger, more diverse weapons load. Under Horizon 2, contenders have been carefully evaluated. One frontrunner is the American F-16 Viper, proven, interoperable, a high-end option. The other is Sweden's Saab JAS 39 Gripen, advanced, cost-efficient, able to operate from shorter runways with tech transfer and favorable financing. The classic dilemma, premium performance versus strategic affordability. The project buys a system, aircraft, BVR weapons, spares, ground support, and extensive training. Decisions hinge on budget, geopolitics, and long-term sustainment. A squadron of modern MRFs would crown the modernization, providing a robust, credible defense of Philippine sovereignty. Looking ahead, the Air Force is charting an ambitious course. Plans like Flight Plan 2028 look toward 2035. The goal: a modern, integrated, layered air defense. FA-50PHs remain vital as lift and light combat, while new MRFs, F-16s, or Gripens form the top tier. They will be primary air superiority and power projection assets. Ground-based radars and AEW&C aircraft extend detection and vector fighters to intercept. Unmanned systems add long-endurance surveillance and, in time, combat roles, ideal over vast seas. The destination: a credible, networked, sustainable defense able to detect, identify, and neutralize threats. It will take political will, consistent funding, and investment in the PAF's men and women. From the P-51 Mustang to future MRFs and drones, the journey reflects an enduring commitment to freedom and the defense of Philippine skies.